Drwendydearborne is in the house with another episode of You and the Laws of Attraction. Well, guys, today is Sunday, the 13th of February 2022, and the hour is 11 a.m. Well, guys, welcome to the show. I hope you're doing well. We are definitely well into the second month of 2022, and I hope it's going well for you. And I really do. I hope things are moving well for you. Well, guys, today's show really is all about how to let go of your past, and that that's a biggie. That's huge. That features huge in our lives. I think more so than many people actually realize. But that being said, welcome to the show. And once again, I hope you guys are all doing well. I'm doing really well. I had a birthday last week. Woohoo! Who knew, huh? I had a birthday last week. And that being said, truly, who knew? Having had a near-death experience in my life, who knew? You just never know, guys. You just never know. And there's much to the phrase when people sort of say, you need to live each day. Not necessarily like it's your last, but you need to live it to the fullest. It's so important to do what it is that you really want to do. So many people, they conform to pushing themselves or trying to fit into spaces. And that's something we're going to be talking about today, actually, space. But they try to conform to fit into spaces and places which really aren't conducive to who they are, and definitely not to what they have come here or been incarnated or born in this life to do. But anyway, guys, that being said, for all the birthday wishes that I had received, thank you so much. I am truly appreciative of all of that. Now, just to do a little bit of housekeeping, if you will, and not even housekeeping, I'm not even going to call it that. I want you to be aware that every time you hear, that's right, my little handy dandy bell, that I'm actually saying something that for me is really pertinent and something that I'm hoping that will be pertinent to you too. Now, that being said, what is you and the laws of attraction all about? Well, here we go. Here we go. I just love that bell. Forgive me, guys. Forgive me. What is you and the laws of attraction all about? Well, this podcast, it's all about me. It's all about you. It's all about us really creating what we want to happen in our lives, what we want to manifest in our lives through the power of our conscious choice. Choice for me is the first in the first laws of attraction. You got to choose it. If you don't choose it, it's not happening. And that's whether you choose consciously or unconsciously. If you don't choose it, it's not happening. And what I aim to do on this podcast is to share information with you that can support you in your choice making process. It's very important to me that you realize that what I share with you is my experience. What I share with you is my view. And I'm not telling anybody, or very rarely do I say, you actually need to do this, and this. Your life experience is your life experience. So what I'm sharing with you on this podcast and all others that I've done is information that has been pertinent to me. And I'm sharing it because I'm hoping that you will be able to take something from it and enmesh it into your life so that you can create the life that you want to live. This isn't about a cookie cutter situation. It's not about a clone situation. It's about understanding that everybody everybody is unique. Everybody is an individual. Everybody out there has their own purpose for being and their own unique way of doing something. I mean, it's like if you take something like frying an egg, you've got 20 people and they fry an egg and they all have same skillet, same heat, blah, 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 everything. But yet still there's a uniqueness, there's a difference with every egg that you taste. And so it's really important. That's very, very important to me that you understand that you take the information, what works for you, you use, what doesn't, you don't use. If none of it works, it's all to the highest, then this isn't for you. All right, guys. So moving right along. Who am I? Just so I get that out the way. I always, but anyway, who am I? I am a choice and universal laws of attraction expert. What does that mean? Choice, I'm a choice and clarity coach. I actually support you in getting clarity around your choices. No, I don't make choices for you. You know exactly what it is that you want, even if you say you don't know. I'm of the opinion that you do. And so I support people in excavating those kind of choices from within so that you can really start living the life that you want to live. In regard to the universal laws of attraction, I support people in having a clearer understanding of the universal laws and how they work. Now, this information, the laws, the universal laws information, most of it I have has come to me. And I mean, literally, it's one of those things that have come to me intuitively. You know, I wasn't looking for this was looking for me. And that's really important to understand. The universal laws, this, what I share with you, are things, if you will, that I have been told. And invariably in meditation and or in dream state or when I just wake right before I wake up and I'm told stuff, I'm told things and I write them down and they're about the universal laws. And as for all of those of you who know me and follow me, you know that the universal law of attraction is actually part of the universal laws, plural. Laws, plural. It's not just the law of attraction. And there's more than just 7 laws. Many people will say, you know, there are 7 fundamental laws. There are more laws to that. And some of them are so subtle. And one of them I'm going to speak about today because it is truly one of the underpinnings of us being able to let go of people, places, and things that no longer serve us, people, places, and things that we have allowed to hold us in bondage and in chains and all this sort of stuff. One of the laws that I'm going to speak about today is very, 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 very pertinent. I mean, without it, without this law being invoked, it we won't be able to let go. We won't be able to let go. So, guys, let us move forward with the show. How to let go of your past. Well, that's a biggie. That's a whole bite. That's a whole chunk. And so we're going to look at this in little bite-sized pieces. Letting go of your past. This is a phrase that we hear. I was going to say this is a plentiful phrase that we hear. Oh, you got to let go of that. You got to let go and move on. Letting go of it will be the best thing for you. Let go. Just let go. You have to let go. And the irony is that most people recognize that they do need to let go. They do need to let go. Most people have tried to let go. Most people want to let go. Most people don't like being held, captive or in bondage by things of the past that they really do they do recognize. It doesn't serve me. The service that it provides for me is to spiral me downwards into a place where I don't even want to be. It spirals me down into places where I don't want to go. And then there are the spin-off places, the little avenues and the little valleys and all this sort of places that I don't need, places that I don't want. People recognize this. Consciously letting go of the past is something that is elusive to you and many other people, to me too, which is why I'm doing this podcast. No matter how hard you've tried, no matter how hard we've tried, it remains elusive. And for many of us, no matter how many years have flown by, you just can't seem to let it go. And I'm talking about the one major thing, because everybody has had a one major thing that has turned their life upside down. It's turned their life upside down, inside out. I'm talking about that one thing that has made you an altogether different person once the dust has settled. Many people would be surprised, and I really mean this, would be really surprised that the event, that one thing that turned your life upside down and inside out, and then changed forever the way that you chose to move through life, didn't actually occur as an adult, and it didn't actually occur as a teenager. It actually happened way before that. And I mean way before that. And I'm saying this because in my practice, this is something that I experienced with my clients. This is something that I experienced. When life changed for them irrevocably, when life turned them upside down and inside out, most people were children. Most people were children. And if I said to you, your client came to see me, and I said to you, okay, the reason why you are where you are in your life today is based upon the choices that you have made since the age of 5 3/4. People look at me like, wait, what? I've come to see you for this? What? What are you talking about? And the reality is, no, 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 no. What major, and I'm talking major event, happened when you were 5 3/4? Not necessarily starting school, but was it around that? And invariably, people will be like, oh my God, my mum's mum died when I was 5 3/4. It was a couple of months before my 6th birthday. Wow. I remember my grandmother slightly. What I remember about her most is how she cuddled me. I just felt so loved. And what people don't realize is that those cuddles didn't come anymore. In addition to the turmoil that may or may not have been in the household, those cuddles didn't come anymore. That feeling of love didn't come anymore. And so consequently, they went down the path of looking for love in all the wrong places, and or they became embittered and angry, and or name whatever emotional situation you want to name or add to that. Please fill in the blank. But something happened that changed. And what I'm telling you here is actually a truism. This is true. This pertains to one of my clients. This is a truism. And that day, they were irrevocably changed. So when I speak about your life being turned upside down and your world being turned inside out, it's not necessarily the dissolution of your marriage, or the breakup of a relationship, or being fired, or losing your job, losing your house, not necessarily that. Does that add to the pot? Most assuredly it does. But is it the foundational cause? No, it's not. The foundational cause of anything that happens in your life, and I am not condoning anything bad that happens. What I am saying to you is this: the foundational cause of anything that happens in your life is predicated upon the choices that you make. Understand that, guys. It's predicated on the choices that you make. Now, many people they will work on their many people they'll work on their I don't know, their stuff, if you will. And they'll see therapists, they'll go and see a coach, they'll see psychiatrists, they'll join a meditation group, which I'm all, hey, they'll do yoga, they'll do this, they'll lose weight, all sorts of things. And they think that they have literally let go of certain things or things of the past. And the fact is that many people are surprised, and I mean like really, really surprised. They're shocked when something triggers them. When something triggers them, and or something triggers you, and your internal dialogue goes back to this thing or back to these things, and you're like, damn, I thought I'd gone over that. Or you're like, wow, where did that come from? Woo, didn't see that coming. Did not see that coming. And phrases, things that, they run through your head like, I thought that was dead and buried. I thought that was dead and buried. I pay this therapist buku money, and I really thought that was dead and buried. But as I said, something will come along and it will trigger, and the dialogue will start. That internal dialogue. It's just been waiting. It's just been waiting. You see, the reoccurring events, or the thoughts of reoccurring events and situations that have hurt you to the core. And I mean hurt you to the core of your being, that you feel have been buried. That you feel have been buried. Or that you have buried and that you think are dead. No, darling. No, my darlings. No, 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 no. Nothing goes like that. Yes, they're buried all right, but they've been buried alive. They've been buried alive. And much like anything that is living and that is buried, it is going to try to claw its way out. It is always looking for a way out. It is always looking to make itself known. And that is a truism. So if you're wondering why something that, I don't know, 20 years ago, 30 years ago, what have you, or 5 years ago, 2 months ago, if you're wondering why it's popped back up into your life, it's because you buried it and it was buried alive. And the name of the game is that if something needs to be addressed, burying it alive can only, burying it alive isn't actually taking care of the issue, it's just putting a band aid on a wound that needs 200 stitches. It's like putting a plaster on a cut that needs 200 stitches. It's not going to work. And one of the reasons, once again, why things come back to the surface is because they actually need to be addressed. Everything that we do in life, and I mean everything that we do in life, is all about taking us to our destined place. In the last podcast that I did, I spoke about purpose. I believe I did. I spoke about purpose. You are here for a purpose. You're here to do something that only you can do. Nobody else can fill that space. Nobody else can fill that place. It's your place. And the irony is, it's an integral place because it affects the entire world. It affects everybody on the face of this earth. Actually, it affects every living thing on the face of this earth. Which is why, and don't roll your eyes because that's rude, which is why I love that movie, It's a Wonderful Life. Favorite movie. I watch it once a year. Once a year, I watch it. I've got the old VHS. I got it on DVD. I've got the digital download streaming. Once a year, I watch it. And it comes on the TV now, free for nothing, with adverts. But I watch that because that movie is instrumental in showing that everybody has a purpose, and they are such an integral part of the puzzle that we call life. But anyway, let me get back on topic here and letting go of your past. Now, once again, many people will say, let go. You say this to yourself. You have that conversation with yourself and you take a deep breath and you're right. I'm letting this go. I'm not going to think about this anymore and blah, 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 blah. No, what you've just done is buried it alive. Okay? You've just buried it alive. And so it's doomed to resurface. Now, is there a way to let go of your past? And I mean to literally let go of it. Oh, yes, there is. Definitely. Definitely. Before you let go of your past, let me just say two things. Let me just write this down so I can stay on point. All right. Before you let go of your past, it's important, especially the things that you remember in your teenage, anywhere throughout your life, any stage throughout your life. It's vitally important to ask yourself this question. What is this showing me? What is it teaching me? And what have I learned? What am I wanting to do with this information? What am I wanting to do with this situation? And so, okay, so I'm going to use a breakup. It's easier. Yeah, I'm going to use a breakup. So you've had the breakup, and you're devastated, you're hurt, and everything that goes with you know, a relationship that you had wanted, yet even in your heart of hearts you knew it was wrong, but you were going to go the distance, you know, and the relationship has dissolved. It wasn't an it wasn't even an amicable thing when it dissolved. It was kind of ugly. And it turned your world inside out, turned you upside down, shook you, and when the dust settled, you realized that you were a totally different person, not recognizing that when Gran died, when you were 5 3/4, that you were looking for love in the wrong places and looking for love that wasn't the kind of love that you were looking for. But that being said, this has turned you upside down, inside out, shaken you up, and you're a different person. The key here is to ask yourself, what are you now wanting from that experience? What did that experience teach you about yourself? And I'm not talking about all the negatives. Oh, I'm so stupid. How did I stay with him or her so long? I'm just so worthless. I'm this, I'm that. I'm not talking about going down there. That's just digging. No, no. What are you wanting from this relationship now? And if the answer is nothing, woohoo, you've hit pay dirt. If the answer is that I'm wanting the relationship to continue, then my question to you is, paint me a picture of what that looks like for you and for you to get your needs met. You see, this life is about you. It's not about anybody else. It's about you and then how you interact with everybody else. You see, as I'm apt to say, I can't breathe for you and you can't breathe for me. Yeah. If you were trying to keep me alive, um, doing the kiss alive, yeah, for a while. But I cannot sustain on your carbon dioxide in the same way you cannot sustain on mine. In the same way, I cannot eat food and expect you to live. If you're not eating food, if you have no food and water, I cannot eat and drink for you and expect you to live. Oh, well, I might, but that's not going to happen. We haven't reached that stage in our evolution yet. But that's not going to happen. So this life is about you and what you are wanting. This life is about you and you showing up authentically. Once again, guys, and I know I should do a drum roll because that's what your eyes are going to be doing. For the rest of this year, when you show up as your authentic self, you give me permission to show up the same way. The same way. It's like the jigsaw puzzle. So for you, asking yourself some of these intrinsic questions. What are you wanting from the situation? What did the situation teach you positively about self? Yeah. When you're able to answer, that can facilitate the letting go process. Now, if you're not able to answer and you really don't know, and it's still a thing that 20 years later, it's still kind of raw, it still has that edge to be able to cut you, that's okay too, because there's ways of dealing with that as well. So moving forward, let me just do this so we're on point and on topic, as Jamila says. Right, moving forward, how to let go of your past. It works out. It works out to your benefit if you actually do want to let go of your past. It really does, and I mean really let go. Some people give lip service to that. A lot of people really do. And once again, as I said earlier in the podcast, a lot of people have tried, and a lot of people have said that they've failed. And once again, you'll know whether or not you have succeeded by whether or not the stuff comes back up. You'll know. The universal law of space is the kind of law in the laws of attraction. And guys, again, I won't even go down that road, but it's the kind of law in the laws of attraction that is very underrated and very understated. And this is a shame, actually. This is a shame, because a lot of credence have been given to, oh, the universal law of love, which is important. It's transmutive. The universal law of gratitude, vitally important. It says that you are good. The universal law of gratitude says that you are taking ownership, accountability, and responsibility for all that you have in your life, and you're good with it. The universal law of forgiveness means literally that you have forgiven self. You have stopped casting blame on self, for things that have happened in your life. The universal law of forgiveness gives you freedom. So the universal law of space is really understated and underrated, and yet, like the universal law of love, gratitude, forgiveness, belief, faith, it holds the power. It holds the power to support the process of your desired manifestation. In fact, without space, there can be no change. And if there is no change, stagnant, things become stagnant. And that is not how the world works. That's not how spirit works. That's not how this universe works. It is not a stagnant universe. It is always moving. And it's always moving. It's always dragging us along. If you don't know what you want, you will be dragged along and placed where other people feel you should be. And that's a huge one. That's another thing that's huge that people don't even begin to understand. When energy is designed to be used, energy isn't stagnant. It cannot be stagnant. You're going to give out a certain amount of energy, and people will use your energy to support them in creating or manifesting what it is that they want. And of course, bearing in mind that your job is to know what you want and allow the universe, the universal creator known to me as the God within, to actually, change the atoms in the ethos so it can come into form. So when people know what they want and you don't know what you want, and you're out there faffing and you're doing this, oh, I don't know, blah, 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 people are going to suck up your energy. They're energy vampires. They're going to suck up your energy and and everybody knows an energy vampire. Everybody has had that experience. And it could be that the person that you're around, they just suck up your energy. Literally. Like you're like, oh, I really like them, but every time I get around them, they drain. Oh God, I'm so drained. So guys, it's vitally important to recognize that the universal law of space, and I'm going to give you a definition for that. The universal law of space is as important as some of the 7 laws, the 7 pillars that are out there. Once again, there can be no change in your life if there's no change in space. So The universal law of space. The universal law of space. The universal law of space intentionally, hear that? Intentionally creates a place or a vacuum that must be filled. And as the saying goes, you know, nature abhors a vacuum. But there are no empty spaces in the universe. Every space, every atom, every molecule, every inch, every nano inch, every nano millimeter is allocated. There are no spaces in the universe. Everything is in its place within the space that has been allocated to it. This is how powerful the universal law of space is. There are no spaces in the universe. And if it appears that way, you know, people talk about, oh, the black holes. If it appears that way, understand that is a space. That is for a reason. Absolutely nothing has happened here on Earth or within the universe or within the cosmos as we know it and don't know it to be. Nothing has happened randomly. Nothing. Everything that has occurred, everything that has manifested through and by design. So I got off point and off topic. So I'm going to get back on point and on topic, guys, with the universal law, the definition. The universal law of space intentionally creates a place or a vacuum that must be filled. It states that no two things can occupy the same space at the same time, physically or mentally. It is impossible. When invoked, this law creates the room for consciously choosing the change that you want to manifest in your life. It's one of the fundamental underpinnings or the pillars of which all other universal, spiritual, and or natural laws, whichever term you prefer, stand upon. So what does that mean for you? What does that mean for you in letting go of your past? One of the things that I would say and own is that many things that we have gone through and really have experienced have been really painful. From personal experience, I do know growth is born out of pain, should you choose to look for it. Understanding of self and others is brought about when you choose to look at a situation and look at it from the role, once again, as a victor and not a victim. So don't be a victim of the relationship breakup. Don't be a victim of what has happened to you. Turn the situation into something that is victorious for you. And before you let go, I always think that myself personally, right? This is just me. This is Wendy, right? I always think that before you let go of something, it's important to do that, especially if you feel it was something that was perpetrated against you. You know, grandma passing, I'll use grandma passing. Grandma passing, that wasn't perpetrated against you per se, but the fallout was hellacious. the fallout was hellacious. Something perpetrated against you, an infidelity within your relationship, um, being fired because of the color of your skin, um, perpetrated against you, those sort of things. That, you know, when you feel things have been perpetrated against you, my thing is, ask yourself those questions, the fundamental intrinsic questions. Okay, let me get off that point. How to let go of your past. You need to create a space. You need to create a space. And I mean literally, in your thought process, you need to create a space. Now, if you say to yourself, I'm going to let go of this past relationship that still holds me in bondage. You know, you've been married 10 years now, you've got 2 kids, 3 kids, and still crap from when you and Sally Joe or you and Joey Bob or whoever were going out still surfaces. And actually it surfaces so much that you've based many of your decisions erroneously on that relationship. But that being said, you don't want that to surface in your world anymore. You don't want it coming up anymore. You don't want it. You're done. You're over it. Okay? Done. I'm over it. Literally, what you need to do is create the space. How do you create the space? You literally say to yourself, I don't want. No, this is no longer a part of my life. This situation no longer has control over me, which is what many people do. Many people do this. Many people will say, you know something, this has no bearing, no relevance in my life anymore. You know, I've done the thing where I've stood back and I look at it without emotion. You know, I view it just like a black and white movie. There's no talking, there's no nothing. I just look at it for what it is. And actually, guys, that's actually a really powerful exercise. That's a real powerful exercise to actually look at a situation that has happened and allow it to unfold in your mind. But you're looking at it from, and I mean, you're looking from the outside in. You're not looking from the inside out. So you're no longer a participant. It's the observer being observed, or the observer being observed. So what you do is you observe the situation. Withhold any kind of emotions, and that's actually quite easy to do. You just allow it to unfold. There's no talking, there's no nothing. It's just picture images. And that in itself, as I said, can be really powerful. So anyway, you've done all of this work, you've done all of that, and you've let it go. But guys, you haven't. You haven't actually let it go. What you've done is you've created a thought process about what it would be like for you to let it go. But you actually haven't let it go. And you haven't let it go because it's still in the same space. It's still occupying the same space. And the universal law of space is definite in two things cannot occupy the same space at the same time. It's definite. It's resolute. That's immutable. That's absolutely immutable. Like all the other universal laws, it's immutable. And so for you, when you let go, you need to put something else in its place. Okay? Right. So, let me just back up on this. Right. To let go of anything in your life, mentally, emotionally, and actually physically for that matter, you need to put something else in that space. You know, it's like trying to move water. It's like trying to move water out the way. You're trying to move water out the way. If you don't put something in that space, that water is just going to fill it right back up. That water will just fill that space up. So for you, this is why it is so important to know what you are wanting in your life. It's so important to have clarity around it. This is why that too is something that I hammer. I'm always going on about that. What are you wanting? It too is one of the most powerful things that you can actually do for yourself, is to know what it is that you are wanting for your life. And if you don't know what you want for your whole entire life, what are you wanting for this moment in time? What are you wanting for this moment in time? And you see, when you know that, you can use that as a source of empowerment for self. So you know you don't want to be hurt anymore behind this breakup or behind this loss or that loss or whatever's going on, your body image or whatever is going on for you. What are you going to put in that space? That's all the universe is asking you. That's all the universal law of space is asking you. What do you want to fill with me? What do you want to put here with me? So you want to let go. You say you want to let something go. I say, what do you want to put in its place? What do you want to put in its place? You're afraid that you're not going to generate the money that you need and want to generate with your business. You know, fair enough. I get that. You're afraid that your house is going to go into foreclosure. I get that. I understand that. I understand those fears. I understand them. I might not subscribe to them because that's a choice, but I do understand them. In order for you not to focus on what you don't want and for you to focus on what you do, you need to know, number one, what it is that you want. Number two, you need to be able to slot that into place. And what I mean by that is utilize the universal law of space. Use it. Utilize the universal law of space and what you're wanting. Use them both to create a powerful dynamic for you to manifest what you want. I don't want to be broke as a joke anymore. It's not enough just to affirm it. What are you going to put in that space? What you put in that space is what I'm wanting. I'm wanting a steady income that is going to allow me to live the life that I want to live. That's what I'm putting in its place. And then what happens is you start a sequence of automatically you engage the universal law of imagination. And you start imagining this. You start visualizing this. But you see, when you know what you want already, all of that's already in place. So all you really have to do is slot into that space. I want an income that's going to allow me to live the way that I am wanting to live. The irony is, the more you do this, and I literally mean the more you do this, is the less these things will crop up. Till eventually they return to, as Florence Scovel Shinn says, to the nothingness from whence they came. And no, will you forget? No, you'll never forget. You'll never forget. But it's not one of those, oh, I'll never forget that. No, you'll never forget. But it's no longer, it's no longer an important facet of your life. It's no longer, it doesn't have the relevance anymore, other than it has supported you in getting to where it is that you want to be. You see, guys, the universal law of space, once again, the universal law of space says that no two things can occupy the same space at the same time, mentally or physically. Everything in life starts from a thought process, and that's everything in life starts from a thought process. It was a thought. And it was a thought that garnered energy. It was a thought that garnered creative energy, manifestation energy. It's a thought that garnered all of these things based on your feelings, your desires. You empowered the thought. Only you can empower your thoughts, nobody else. And while we like to say that, yes, people influence, which they do, but you choose to be influenced, while we like to say that this happened and so the chain reaction for me was this, it was a choice. It was a reaction. People will say, oh, it was a spontaneous reaction. No, it wasn't. It was a reaction. Life is all about choices. So what is it that you are choosing for you? The thought processes that you have going on in your mind, the things that bring you down, you get to choose whether you hold on to those. That's filling a space. If you don't want that to fill that space in your mind, if you don't want it to take up mental real estate, then build something else there. You get to choose that. And am I saying that this is easy? No, I'm not. No, I'm not. Like every other living thing, the thoughts that you have, the emotions that you have, they're living, breathing, viable things. This is why they can bring you to your knees. This is why you can feel the hurt that you can feel. They're living, breathing, viable things. And that being said, they're things that you get to control. So for you, it is about putting something else in that space. Now, a couple of years ago, I say a couple of years ago, maybe about 5 years ago, I had created was it a webinar? I think it was a webinar, but it was called Cancel That. And that's something that I actually use. This is something that Wendy uses. Things come up and things from yesteryear. And I'm like, wow, I thought I was over that. Clearly, I'm not. Well, you know what? I need to be over this. I want to be over this. So cancel that. In its place, I am putting whatever, health, wealth, love, perfect self-expression, whatever, you fill in the blank. But in its place, I fill it with something that I am wanting and truly wanting now. Something that I am wanting to experience, something that I've had the experience within my imagination. I mean, I know what it looks like. I know what it feels like. I can tell you what it tastes like because I can taste it, even though it hasn't manifested for me, even though it's not in its tangible form. It is in a tangible form within my imagination. And when it actually manifests, it's going to be like that and better. So I use cancel that. So for you guys, it's about creating a mechanism that works for you. I actually use that when, um, negativity. I might see something and the news might trigger me, or somebody might say something and it might trigger me on this, downward spiral. And I start all this negative chatter. And all of a sudden I realize I'm doing this and I'm like, oh, cancel that. But when I've cancelled that, it's not enough just to say, oh, I'm not going to say that anymore. Put something else in its place. Allow that space to be filled with something that you do want. So the thing that you are not wanting doesn't flow back into that space. Just like trying to move water. If you just try to move the water, but you don't put anything in there, the water's going to flow back in. That's the same thing with thought processes that you have that you no longer want. Now, is this easy to do? I'm going to say, yeah, fairly. Do you need to stay on top of it? Yes, you do. Do you need to set your intention clearly? Yes, you do. Personally, I set my intention by saying anything that comes up from my past that no longer serves me and I no longer serve it. Hear me clearly, guys. Once I have done the work in regard to what is this showing me, and I really do this, what is it showing me? What is it teaching me? And sometimes it's nothing. Sometimes it's nothing that I can see. And I'm good with that. And then I'm like, cancel that. That's precious real estate. And in its place, I put something that I'm wanting. Something that I'm wanting. Even if that wanting is for this thing never to come back. That's what I put in that space. I never want this to come back. This is what I'm placing here. And I am grateful and I am thankful that it is so. So once again, is it simple? No. Do you need a specific plan? Yes. Do you need to set your intention? Yes, you do. And your intention needs to be clear. Your subconscious mind and your conscious mind need to be in alignment. So, let me just recap, okay? How to let go. It's important to understand that the universal law of space, and I literally mean the universal law of space, intentionally creates a place or a vacuum that must be filled, and it will be filled. If you don't actually fill it with something that you want, it will be filled with the thing that you are trying to move out. The universal law of space states that no two things can occupy the same space at the same time, physically or mentally. When invoked, this law creates the room for you to consciously choose the changes that you want to manifest in your life. Understand that it is one of the fundamental underpinnings or the pillars upon which all other universal laws stand. And that's all other universal, spiritual, or natural laws stand. In order to let go of your past, you need to know what you want to fill that space with. That's paramount. What are you wanting? even if it is, I don't want to feel this pain anymore. So you'd fill that space with, I'm pain free. I'm pain free. And always speak as it is in the present. I am pain free. Not I'm going to be pain free. Not I am wanting to be pain free. I am pain free. So know what it is that you want. More to the point, it's better to utilize, I personally think, it's better to utilize that space for something that you are trying to manifest. So, things from the past come up, oh, they didn't, I don't know, guys. Okay, they didn't pick me for basketball or something, or I always sat on the bench or what have you. And that really hurt me as a kid or what have you. And that comes up. So, okay, so it's come up fine. Are you sitting on the bench now? No, good. All to the highest good. What do you want to put in that place? What's something that you want? Well, I'm wanting my own home. Well, put that in there. Put the whole imaginary thing that you will do for your home. Put your house in there. And you like, this basketball situation, it no longer affects my life. Bam, in this space, in this place and space is my home. With every bell and whistle that I've created. Now, with that, be sure to say thank you. Also, that kind of seals the deal. Gratitude can really seal the deal. As I said earlier, gratitude is about ownership, accountability, and responsibility. It can really seal the deal. So make sure that you give whatever gratitude statement you're feeling, whatever gratitude statement works for you. You also need to set your intention. And what I literally said was, anytime I go down, and this is my words, anytime I go down a rabbit hole, so my conscious and subconscious self understands what that means to me. So anytime I go down a rabbit hole, I need to catch myself. And that's what happens. And stuff starts, and I start talking, and I start going off. I start going on, and I'm like, oh, no, okay. And as I said to you guys, for me, I created that program, cancel that. I'm like, okay, cancel that. And when I say cancel that, I have just said, I'm creating my space. Cancel that. I don't want this in my life anymore. I've just created a space. And now I'm going to put something else in it. So, guys, I hope that has been helpful. I hope that gives you something to mull over, a little clarity. And of course, if not, you can get me on Dr. Wendy D at Dr. Wendy at gmail.com. You'll be able to get me there. Actually, on social media, you'll be able to find me. Facebook, the whole 9 yards. Leave me a message if you need more clarity around this. And if people are wanting and needing more clarity around this process of letting go, what I'll do is a webinar around this, or a Zoom or something like that. But outside of that, guys, I hope this has been helpful. And just as something that popped in my mind, you can use this for anything, guys. And I mean anything. Health, weight loss, relationships, career moves, blah, blah, career moves. Let's see, traveling. You can use this for anything. I'll wind up by saying this. I don't think people realize how bound and rooted to where they are, where you find yourself now, or where we find ourselves now, is a result of being unable to let go of our past and our space being continually regenerated with the same old, with the same old things that aren't helpful to us. Recognizing that life is always moving forward. It will move forward with these things in place. So if you truly want something different, you truly do, you're going to have to create the space intentionally and put what you want in there. Little things, big things, they all add up. Well, guys, thank you for taking the time out to listen. I am Dr. Wendy Dearborne, and I have been your host for the last 65 minutes and some seconds. And on that note, guys, have a wonderful couple of weeks, a wonderful month. I'll be back soon with another episode of